Up and running, and Villa 1 is loud.
Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with Kev to do a full-ish match reaction to Aston Villa 1, Manchester City 0. I don't think I will ever get tired of saying that scoreline. But yeah, we had to get on and talk about the game, partly because there's so many games coming up. Partly because we've got so many shows coming up. We thought we couldn't not talk about this. What a night it was last night. Amazing memories, both for me personally and for the game. And I'm sure Kev will join me in that regarding a game that was for the ages, one of the best nights at Villa Park ever. Yeah, first of all, Kev, how are you a night after the night before?
Well, I've got to be honest with you. Like, I was like a little kid last night. I couldn't sleep. I was so excited. I must have been consuming Villa content for an hour after I got back when I was exhausted. And I could see other people like on X/Twitter and like videos going around and posts. And clearly, like, it's momentous for us. And let's be clear, it's just one match, right? It's one match. But the difference obviously is the manner of the performance and how stark it was in terms of, like, you know, some of the stats for what City did and didn't do. And 24 hours later, I'm still absolutely on cloud nine. I still can't believe it, mate. So let's get into it.
Yes, absolutely. And before we do, we are just over 20 subscribers away from 2,800. We will set a little goal of hitting 3K before Christmas, and we really do want to hit that. So you guys are the ones that can really help us. We've had some amazing support over the channel over the last year or since we started, but the last couple of months has been incredible. So do please keep continuing that support. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, comment down below. I'm sure you guys are all still buzzing about last night's performance. So let's get your thoughts and reflections on the game as well. Yeah, Kev, let's start from the top. Obviously, we all had our comments around the starting lineup, and Unai Emery, I don't know whether it was a bit of gamesmanship, a bit of kind of tactical nous, where he kind of said that he was going to make a lot of changes across the week after the Bournemouth game. You know, we kind of were guessing about who might start. We were talking about, you know, players like Matty Cash definitely coming back in. You know, even the likes of Longley maybe playing. And then when the team was announced, it was essentially just Kamara in for Zaniolo.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? There were key surprises, really, but I didn't think I was going to be this prophetic when I put it in the group. But there was loads of comments in our, obviously, Villa Park Pod WhatsApp group, and I just, because I was in the middle of something, I just put in Unai we trust, something like that. Like, you know, no real sense of like proper, like, you know, thoughtful punditry, just in Unai we trust. But I mean, let's be clear, when does he let us down? And this is the thing, isn't it? When you have a situation where you're getting overrun a bit at Bournemouth and you're saying, God, Konza and Carlos look a bit exposed, and maybe we need Cash's industry and energy. Then you start against City and you think, crikey. But then you pause and go, well, hang on, Doku's not playing, Grealish isn't playing. Clearly they've got some good players, but they haven't got the same level, particularly with Doku, of like an outlet down there. And we probably expected, if you looked at Villa fans, they'd probably say Diaby greater than Bailey, you know, generally. But my God, you know, you got that team lineup. It is Carlos, who there was question marks over, and it was Bailey, who has been obviously great this season. But if Diaby's fit, why is he not back in? What an absolute masterstroke! You know, probably two of the arguably the two. I mean, you could pick any player, to be fair. Even players that, you know, came off the bench all did brilliantly. But Carlos and Bailey were arguably both shouts for man of the match. So inspired by Unai again.
Yeah, we'll obviously focus on a couple of performances, or more than a couple of performances shortly. But I wanted to ask you, do you think that the manner of which we got the equaliser against Bournemouth, and the manner that Man City conceded their equaliser against Tottenham, first of all, do you think that played a part? And then also, do you think the fact that one or two of the players were, exposed, as you say, against Bournemouth, different attacking threat, undoubtedly, but do you think they were a little bit more kind of galvanised at the fact that they wanted to put right, in quotes, a performance that maybe wasn't to their standards?
So you mean as in City obviously got the wind knocked out of the sails a little bit late on. Villa basically snatched a draw from the jaws of defeat. Yeah, I mean, I think that probably gave us a little bit of positivity because it keeps that unbeaten run going, which is obviously really important. And by the way, who'd have thought it? Bournemouth, Spurs, and Man City, those 3 games. How many points are you going to get? We're going to get 7. All right, so that'll be a win at Bournemouth. Nope, that'll be the draw. You wouldn't have called that. So, yeah, look, this is the thing with a team like Manchester City in recent years and the juggernaut that they've been. It would be remiss of me not to make the point that, when they were singing last night, we know what we are, European champions, I was doing my own chorus of, 115 financial infringements and, bought the league and dodgy oil money. But anyway, look, we are where we are. We play the game that we play, and while they're in the league, we have to compete with them at the level they've been. But when they have a blip, they soon get out of it. Look at last season. They had a blip at the start of the season, and then they ended up going on an unbeaten run to the end of the season, basically, and walking away with the league. And so you expect, even if they don't win a couple of games, it's only draws. I mean, crazy for them. But, for them, it feels like a defeat. So I think with Pep's words in the week about how we're going to win the league still and calling out Carragher, calling out Neville, I was like, slightly wounded animal here. Like, he's going to have them absolutely drilled. They're going to be coming out brilliantly. And Unai was obviously just like, I don't give 2 hoots, basically, about that. Let's do what Unai does. Let's do what we do. And we did to them what they do to teams. And that's just the thing which was just the most staggering. I was waiting to happen what's always happened against them, where they just start to get the ball and pass us to death and are moving it around. And I thought, God, even with Rodri out, look at the options they had. They brought Stones in, who was probably a bit rusty, but is an absolute quality player. And I think he's actually made for that central midfield role because he's so good on the ball. Obviously, you've also got Kovacic, who's I think a Champions League and a Europa League winner with Chelsea, probably a league winner as well. You've got Calvin Phillips, who's a £50 million England international who signed for them. So to think they haven't got adequate cover for Rodri, when we've got Den Donker and Irogbenum. So clearly they're going to make a bit of a difference not being in the team, but the level of the difference was just, I mean, at one point I was like, is this real? Is this happening? I'm waiting for the bubble to burst, waiting for, we've had a good first half. Like, I came out at halftime thinking, do you know what? I'm so proud of the boys. And I even said at the start, the second half, even if we lose this 2-0, like, why am I thinking like this? And it's a new era now. We've got to change that way of thinking. But I'm sure a lot of Villa fans were doing the same.
I was the same. Well, look, let's talk about the first half, because as you said, you go into it with a lot of apprehension. We've got a good side. We talked about kind of if we could pick up a result against one of these 2 teams that we're playing in the next 2 games, City and Arsenal, we'd be really happy. But the way we started, I know Man City tried to play a few passes, tried to control the game and quieten down the crowd, but we just weren't having any of it. And when I did my instant match reaction, I talked about the chance that Bailey had. I talked about the chance that Dini had. I've totally forgot the wonderful save that Pau Torres, of all people, brought out of Edison. I mean, what a juggernaut of a start that we had to the game.
You probably wouldn't have also seen, as I didn't, because I was at the ground, that the Konza header, that was first half, wasn't it? Was that first half?
Yes. Yeah. That was about 20 minutes. Yeah.
And he should have scored. He got too much on it. He got there first. He just had to just get a little touch on it, and that's a goal. So we were just at it from the off, all over them. I mean, if you remember back as well, pre-match, I think you predicted 1 point out of these 2 games. I predicted 2 points. Well, in both of our faces, but especially yours. because we're already +2 on you and +1 on me. But I wasn't sure how we were going to come out. I figured we would try and I figured we'd be up for it because, it's an U19, but I thought, well, they're going to get the ball, and then how are we going to cope with chasing them around? But we just did, as I said earlier, what they did to teams, and it was just relentless. It was nonstop. It was chance after chance after chance. That's a statistic in all of his, is it 535 management game career? It's the most shots that any team has ever had against a Pep Guardiola team in the top leagues. And let's be clear as well, like this was a pivotal game for the club to create history, because we've never won that many consecutive home games. So the pressure was on. And to do it against this lot, you've won everything, all and sundry last year, won the treble, against a manager that just doesn't have his team treated like that. And we treated them with absolute disdain last night. And it was great to see. And we treated them like we treated Brighton, like we treated West Ham. It was great to see. I just think that the more and more they did it as well, the team, you could see the confidence building. And then we started hunting and sniffing. Remember that spell? I know we're kind of going to the second half, but there was like a 2-minute spell second half where they just kept trying to clear the ball. We just kept getting it back.
Oh, and I'll come to that. I will come to that. Let's just hold that.
Sorry,
hold that thought.
I'm just
hold that thought.
Again.
But yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. All over midfield, we were at them. In terms of the way that City play, they like to add players into that midfield area. So they bring a Kanji into there to make an extra player. They bring Stones in there to make an extra player. They bring the Walker in to make an extra player, and almost kind of pack that midfield with options so that, like, when someone passes the ball, they've got another angle to pass it off to someone else, and then they can slide someone in. We just had the number on that, because every time they would try and do that, we'd either get tight in and like some McGinn or Kamara would nick the ball, or we'd shut off the pass, and then we knew that we had the pace of like a Bailey or a Watkins, and they were just leaving it 2v2 at the back every time, and we could either play a long ball over the top, or we nick the ball and like Tielemans would just get it on the half turn and thread it through. It was almost like the perfect tactic.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I remember noticing that exact point, which clearly everyone knows how City play, and they had those three smaller guys across, Bernardo Silva, Alvarez, and Foden, but everyone else was basically a unit, from what I can.
Kanji's huge, isn't he?
Yeah, and when I was watching, like when they were attacking a bit in the first half, I could see from, sort of sat quite centrally as around the Trinity, like I'm right on Akanji and Stones, and then Walker's bombing up. And not as much he was in the second half at the start, by the way. He seemed like he played right wing like that. And then you've obviously got Haaland. And I'm like, my God, you can see why they do what they do. They're like a boa constrictor, and they're big, and they're obviously, they're on you, and they're aggressive, and they're strong, and they're quick. But the way we dealt with that, you're absolutely right. I remember thinking, oh God, they're keeping the three at the back because they've always got the ball. But it works if you've got the ball. But if you've got a team getting the ball off you like we were doing last night, with the ferocity of, and all of them to a man. I mean, McGinn, that's just McGinn's game, isn't it? That's just Kamara's game.
Into his hands, yeah.
But, Tielemans, but Digne, but everyone was doing it. Just getting physical, getting stuck in, getting up them. They didn't like it. And then when you've got the ball, the team now, this is the thing I still have to pinch myself about the Villa, Rich. Like, passing it around the back and, like, the confidence of doing, like, just one-touch passing, like, pass it. I'm going to pass it fairly close to Haaland here, but I don't really care because my mate's going to release it before he gets a chance to get one of his lanky Norwegian limbs on it. And it was just incredible to see us do that to that team and break out of a press. And all of a sudden, like, now we're the ones putting a ball over the top. I mean, I think the landscape was set from that ball from McGinn. That kind of, we thought, Watkins has missed it, and I'm like, Bailey's bombing on.
Yeah.
Squared it. Another one, if he just squared it, Watkins was in for he was onside, and he would have put that one away.
Yeah. No, it was just brilliant, and like the tactics and the obviously the execution was perfect. It was a key moment in the first half, and we talked to Martinez in the game against Bournemouth that a keeper gets you 12 to 15 points a season, and the two shots that Man City did manage in the game were in that first half, and there were big chances for Erling Haaland. And yeah, Emi Martinez steps up when it matters, and that could have been a turning point in the game.
Yeah, it really could have. Oh, just a point to make on this, by the way. He was offside for the header.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So
It still went down as a stat though, which was.
Well, it's actually only one shot, isn't it? Then it's only one shot.
Yeah,
Let's be clear.
yeah. I don't know
Yeah,
where
it
the other
wasn't
one was,
given.
and it said 2 big chances that they missed, but unless they're assuming that those 2 were the big chances. But I heard that he was offside for that
It
header.
was. They didn't have a shot after the 11th minute.
Mm.
I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. There was with injury time. That's over 90 minutes of football. Like, this is Manchester City. What's going on, Rich?
Yeah.
But when it matters, the best in the world, the world's number one, as we were singing. He did what he's been incredible lately. I mean, since that Forest mistake, he's been absolutely unbelievable. And the team confidence flows from the back, the back. But even players like like a Digne, who we all thought, well, Moreno will be straight back in. He's probably Emery's choice. Digne, like playing like one of the best left backs in the league. We thought he was going to be off to Saudi soon or something, and just brilliant. Everything about that team. The fact that they only penetrated us once, and when they did, we had the man at the back to stop them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, the first half continued in the same fashion. We were creating chances. I remember Bailey had another shot that Edison tipped over the bar. One or two other openings, and like you said, it was a mixture of pride, I guess, and frustration that we hadn't scored in that first half. But also, yes, me included, was feeling that way of like, you know what? Yeah, if we get beat, we've had them in the first half. We've shown that we can mix it with the top sides, and it was almost like a philosophical viewpoint, because obviously we weren't to know what would transpire in the second half.
Yeah. It's. I mean, mate, like, what were you thinking at halftime?
I was just like, how have we not scored for one? I was thinking, they have to have a spell. So 5-10 minutes in the game, they're gonna have a spell where they're gonna be putting us under the pressure. Can we withstand that pressure, or are they gonna score and then kind of take the game away from us? But like you said, I was feeling a lot of pride in the players and the way that they responded to the crowd, the way that they were putting it in, and I was thinking, can they sustain that speed of press and that kind of intensity for the full match? But I was hugely proud of how they were playing at that time. So it was just like, I was really conflicted, because I thought, have we missed that opportunity? But also, if we could keep it going, I knew that the game was there to be won.
Yeah, I was ruined like that Bailey miss in the first half when he could have squared it and kind of hit it fairly well, but at the keeper, and then you're thinking, right, was that the chance? And then obviously I didn't know about the Konza one, but then the Pau Torres one, thinking, could he have shaped it, like just set it a bit further outside the post? And it was a little bit central, but still a great save. And all these little things, the Digne shot, could he took it a bit earlier? And you're thinking, oh, these are going to be the best chances we're going to get. I spoke to a mate of mine there, and he was saying at half time, just he thinks he's almost glad that we haven't scored, because if we score, we'll just invite them on, and he'd rather us try and score fairly late on. And that was obviously quite prophetic from him. But I just didn't know what was going to happen second half. I just assumed the classic situation of a team who's as good as City are, play as bad as they did in the first half. Is that because we've been brilliant or they've been bad? Well, I think it was the former rather than the latter. But you expect, therefore, there will be a reaction at half time. You expect then that the greater class, experience, quality will show, and therefore it's going to be more even than it was first half, and they'll probably go on to take it. So for that first 5-10 minutes spell, and then all of a sudden we just kicked on again, mate.
It was like there was a couple of sloppy passes, and then you could see, I think someone won a big tackle in midfield, or we managed to get the ball clear and have a nice little bit of possession, or we won a foul. I can't remember what it was, and Emi Martinez was like, just calm, and then all of a sudden it just started to flow again, and then we started to play I think Bailey had one bad touch where Gvardiol got the better of him, and then the next one he kind of made sure that he kept possession, and then that kind of got him back into the swing of things, and then obviously we just grew and grew and grew into the game, and then that takes me to my point around that spell of about 10 minutes where we just kept peppering them with like balls into the box, and it would come back out. We'd win the second ball, then we'd put it back in again, and we'd play it across, and then we'd play it go down the other side, and it was like that should be us against City, but we were doing it to them, and it was like, what is happening,
mate? You see that stat that we won possession 13 times in the final
yeah,
third, more than any other team has against Man City ever, like under Pep. I mean,
it was.
have you seen the other stat? First 50 games in charge, Guardiola won 29 of his first 50 at Man City. Emery's won 31.
It's just unreal. It's unreal, and it was almost like the culmination of everything that's happened. It's so amazing that it was the 14th home win that was against the top side in the world, really. But yeah, I did think when McGinn didn't curl that shot, hit the shot, went wide. I did think that was the chance. What was going through your mind at that moment?
I was thinking, why didn't you go down? You could have got a penalty. Why didn't you hit it harder? Like, because I loved it. It's basically the same move he did against Luton, wasn't it? When he dropped the shoulder, came back in on his right foot. Then I was thinking, you've got a left foot. You better with your left foot than your right. Could you got it back on your left? But it was clearly under a bit of physical pressure. I think if it had gone down, it might have been enough to get a penalty. But you are thinking, that's our big chance. That's it there. Great ball out from Bailey, by the way, as well. Like, really
brilliant vision.
Really good.
Yeah. But yeah, you were thinking, because part of you's thinking City will still come back. They will have a time that, they made substitutions as well. They brought what's the lad from Wolves? Nunes. They brought Nunes on. They brought Eugene Bob on. They brought Kovacic on, to try and breathe a bit of life into them. And yeah, you're just thinking something is going to click, something is going to happen for them. But I think it was just after they'd made that substitution on the 74th minute. Lovely piercing pass through from Carlos. I'm not sure if it was intentional, having watched the goal a fair few times from Tielemans, but it flicked off him into Leon Bailey's path. Amazing first touch. Brilliant pace running with the ball. Shapes to go on his left, cuts it back onto his right foot, his weaker right foot, hits the shot, takes a deflection off Diaz, and keeper's got no chance. And in that, I guess, top corner, could you say? I don't know if it was quite top corner, but it doesn't matter. The crowd, the atmosphere at that point was just unreal. Like, if there was a roof on Villa Park, it would have flown off.
Yeah, I think you could probably hear us up in Manchester. I just remember you'll have been in the same situation, because obviously your lad was the Premier League mascot, and we were all rooting for him. Watching him put the ball on the spot, his little cheeky wave. But what a moment for him in such a great game. But my lad going absolutely mental with me, because we've just scored against this team that has been, like, I'm sure your lad's the same. Maybe a bit less so in Newcastle, but certainly in Birmingham, you see a lot of Man City shirts. A lot of his mates at school, mates in his football team, Man City fans, because they're obviously the big cool team, and they go and, get the Haaland or De Bruyne or whatever back on the shirt. So for him to see his team, the one that, his dad's been through thick and thin with over the years, basically scoring a goal right towards the end of the game against his team to leapfrog them in the league. And yet, you know what? I'm not sure if Tielemans did mean it, but with the impudence of some of the little flicks he was doing throughout the game, there was only one time it didn't come off, but there was one of them was absolutely filthy.
When he dragged it back and
spin on it as well. So whether he meant it or not, but then Bailey straight away, like his first touch, he just turned, didn't he? Gvardiol was going to be having nightmares about him still. Turned, he's then sprinting towards the box. And look, I'll say this on a live pod as well, but look, Leon, everything I've ever said about you, I was just being honest at the time, what I saw. I've seen so many people over the years at Villa basically flatter to deceive, talk a great game. You know, Charles Nzogbeer with Stephen Ireland and Alexander Tonev. You name more players, Ross McCormack. And I did think you and your stepdad, it was just all a little bit of bluster. But I love you. Fantastic. I mean, I also think of this as well. I think the shot was going in. If you look at the trajectory of the shot, I think it was going to go in that it looped, but it stayed on the same line.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was going to save it. So I just think that gives it a little bit more credibility, that it wasn't like it was a wild swipe that went anywhere. But also, who cares?
Exactly. It was more than deserved. You know, it's one of those where it's kind of ironic that the quality of chances that we had and the saves that we brought out of their keeper, it ends up being a deflected shot that goes in. But, you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It was fully deserved, you know. And yeah, like I echo the thought, Leon Bailey is you would pay money to see him now. You would actually like he gets you off your seat. I think the best thing about him yesterday, barring the goal, was there was a period in the first half where he cut inside twice on Gvardiol and you know, did good things with the ball, productive things with the ball. The next time he went and attacked him, he went down the other side. He went down the outside and crossed it in with his right foot.
Yeah.
And that's what you want from a wide man. You want it so that he is able to go both sides against his defender, because then the defender doesn't know what he's going to do. And because he did that early-ish in the first half, then for the rest of the game, he's got Gvardiol on toast, because how does he know? How is he going to know which direction he's going to go? So yeah, he was unbelievable yesterday. Unbelievable. Just a phenomenal performance. And we'll get onto a couple of. We could go through every player in the team, but I'll ask you for a couple of players. But Bailey was first and foremost. He was phenomenal and well deserved match winner in the end. But it could have been so much better, because you said before about the substitutions that we were able to make. You know, they were probably a little bit later into the game, you know, which was quite surprising, but they still came on and made an impact, and we could have gone further. Like Louise hits the post. I think Diaby had one or two openings. Ramsey had some threatening runs. Like, it wasn't just 1-0 and sit back. It was 1-0 and we'd go for the win.
Yeah, and how comfortable did we look in injury time as well? It just didn't look like they were going to do anything. Like, you know, there was passing around the back, keeping it. You know, remember John Duran at one point, like kind of doing a roll one way, then a roll the other way, and then retaining possession. And I'm thinking, go on, John, you're learning, mate. You're learning the Premier League. Brilliant. And to be able to bring off the bench, I mean, obviously Pep, bit of gamesmanship from Pep. You know, Villa can win the title. You know, he's doing what he can do to, you know, kind of take the pressure off his own team and put a bit of pressure on us. But the fact he's even doing that speaks absolute volumes. And the fact that people aren't saying you're talking absolute tripe, mate, also speaks volumes. But although, you know, it's probably a bit of a wishful thinking. But, you know, if we're in a situation with City where, you know, at the end of the game, you think that, well, they're clearly going to get another chance. And they didn't. And, yeah, we bring our players off the bench like a Diaby, like a Moreno. I mean, look who didn't get on the pitch last night. Like Longley didn't get on the pitch, you know, like good players. You know, it's Zaniolo. Obviously, I thought I was hoping you might bring Zaniolo on to get a second, basically. But, yeah, all of them. And in the end, it was fairly comfortable 1-0 win, wasn't it, really, to say the least?
It was absolutely. Now, you mentioned kind of Carlos as well, for a shout out. I mean, the way he handled Haaland was absolutely masterful. I mean, like I say, Haaland had one shot and then a header that was, you know, looked like it was going to be called offside, but apart from that, he was completely anonymous, and that was down to Carlos.
I don't think he had great service generally, to be fair. No. I think you know that when he doesn't get that, then he can be a bit anonymous. But I also think that that's what Carlos is all about. He's a wardrobe, isn't he? He's just a wardrobe. He's an absolute unit. And he was brilliant last night. And his passing was really good as well. And actually, like, I thought when I saw him, what game was it recently? I thought, my God, I thought he was quicker than that. But there's times last night I thought, God, he's got a bit of pace. Like he was, you know, zipping back to get the ball and stuff. But I just thought he was brilliant. And actually, I was thinking this with the whole Bailey versus Gvardiol situation. Gvardiol's more of a centre half. I know he's played left back a lot, but I think he's more of a centre half. So if you're going to play a team like City, like any sport, you've got to capitalise on your opponent's, in inverted commas, weaknesses. Well, Haaland is a unit, so you need someone as strong as possible to probably be able to go up against him. Gvardiol's not a natural left back, as much as he's a great defender. So let's capitalise on that. Let's play on that. And I think we did that across the pitch. But I'm just so pleased for a Bailey, obviously with everything he's been through, injuries, form, criticism to do what he did. But let's be clear with Carlos. We thought Carlos, 2 games in, we thought he was maybe done.
Yeah.
Ruptured his Achilles tendon. That's a career-ending injury. To come back now and not be initially was just a bit of a bit part player, wasn't he? He was doing a bit here or there. But, to now come back and play the whole of the game in that performance last night I just think he'll feel probably part of the team now.
Yeah, 100%. A player that was missing from the Bournemouth game due to suspension, but came back in and just slotted in, and as the game went on, he just got better and better and better, and that's Boubacar Kamara. I mean, he was just masterful in midfield yesterday.
Magnificent. He was absolutely brilliant. I mean, all of you could just pick any name, mate. And
I know. I don't, like I say, I said before, but I've picked a couple because But Kamara, I mean, the way he was at the first half, he was kind of staying in this position, making sure he was disciplined, and then all of a sudden this like switch happened in the second half where you just thought, do you know what? I've got these. I've got the measure of these. I'm just going to like run and just take them on, and all of a sudden he was like taking 2 or 3 players on, but he wasn't just taking them on and then losing the ball. He was slotting people in. He was playing 1-2s. Like he was just completely dominating the midfield.
I also don't think they're probably used to a team going toe-to-toe with them like that. And that probably would shock them a little bit. And you're absolutely right. I think he just thought at some point, I've got these. They think he's going to go one way and he just switches, while the ball's moving, he just switches his body position and then takes it the other way. Did it so many times. And then we're thinking, crikey, blind alley. And then pops it off to someone else, gets a 1-2, round the corner to someone else. Tielemans does a little pirouette. And it's like, we've still got the ball. Wow. But Kamara you could see the difference, obviously, with him being back in the team, and that presence in midfield, fantastic. Yeah. He was absolutely brilliant, and I think that's almost a coming of age game for him. He's still a young man. I know he's played for France a few times, but he's been a bit hit and miss with his form, even still this season a couple of times. But for him to play like that last night, he was just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, well, look, I could mention every player. Yuri Tielemans was wonderful.
Amazing.
The way he covers the ground in both in possession and out of possession, his imagination for different passes, just brilliant. Ollie Watkins, the way he ran the channels, the way he gave Diaz a real hard game, was fantastic. I've mentioned obviously the goalkeeper Konsa. Foden ended up having to go off because he couldn't get any change out of him. Torres, the way he brings the ball down and brings the ball out.
Torres, he was unbelievable.
Yeah. Luca Dina,
when
constantly
Torres
an option
in the box. Do you remember that?
Just Franco Baresi-esque. It was just brilliant. But I have to mention this guy. This guy yesterday
Brave arse.
was.
You seen that nickname going around for him?
No.
Brave arse. Good, isn't it?
Oh,
credit
Mr. Mr. McGinn. I mean, what can we say about this guy last night? He was everywhere. Every single player that he came up against, he dominated them. I mean, the poor lad Rico Lewis in midfield. I don't know what he must be thinking this morning when he got up, because he got absolutely torn to shreds off John McGinn last night. You talk about captain's performances. That was just hands down a wonderful masterclass of a performance from John McGinn.
Yeah, well, look, we didn't actually mention Louise, and Louise is.
Yes, sorry, I forgot. Yeah. I forgot about that guy. We just expect it from Douglas Luiz. We just expect.
Yeah. Well, I think Louise is my favourite player. I think Louise is the best player we've got. I think he's our bet. I think quality-wise, I just think if I had to pick one, I just think he's an absolute unbelievable, like Rolls-Royce player. But my favourite player, it's got to be John McGinn. And John McGinn, if he plays like that and plays like he has done this season, and if we can somehow continue this to the end of the season, even if it's just Champions League qualification and Europa Conference semi-final, whatever it ends up being, and we're so positive and we want to optimistic in what we can do. If he keeps this up, he's got to be on that PFA Player of the Year shortlist. He's got to be. He's become Grealish, the heartbeat of the team. When everything went through Jack and we looked to Jack for just to bail us out, and we're in the doldrums in mid-table in the Championship, and Jack comes back and starts that run of 10 games. It's all because of Jack. It's time of his return. If McGinn now plays well, we play well. And it's just...
Well, he didn't just play well, though. He was outstanding. Like I can't think of any more superlatives for the guy. He was just unbelievable last night. And again, this doesn't just sum him up. This is like in the 94th minute, he's getting the ball in the corner. He's holding off 2 or 3 players. He's twisting them. He's turning them. He even gets it, so he's then facing their goal to go on an attack, and he's doing that in the 94th minute.
It's the way he manages to keep himself, because you think he's running out of ideas, and then he just keeps going, and it's just it is this force of nature. It really is. And you know what? Right, I was thinking, you're right, Rico Lewis. Look, I mean, City. I'm sure Rico Lewis is going to have a wonderful, wonderful football career. But Rico Lewis, Oscar Bob, it's not. Clearly the De Bruyne.
It's not Raheem Sterling coming on, or Mahrez or Gundogan. Yeah, it's a new era of player. It's not Leroy Sané from a few years ago.
Exactly, Aguero. But do you remember when he absolutely schooled Dan Burn? Look at the physical difference. John Stones last night, I was thinking, oh my God, he's got McGinn. He's just literally your worst nightmare.
I thought Stones was going to get hauled up at half time. I really did. I was so surprised he lasted that long, but maybe he thought I needed to get him the minutes in his legs. But yeah, I just can't speak highly enough of him. Like last night, he was just incredible. And like I say, every player, I totally forgot Luis, but he just conducts the play. He just takes everything in his stride now, and he's got time on the ball when everything else is going around him. It's at 100 mile an hour. Luis, just take it easy, guys. We'll just pass it. We know what we're doing. Just brilliant. But just sum it up for us. I know we wanted to do a 10-15 minute one. We've gone on for 37 minutes, but we can't help it. But just sum it up, the night, the atmosphere, the result, what it means.
Unai's 50th game, which in itself obviously is a fair old milestone, with looking at what he's done compared to the absolute elite in terms of Man City, winning 2 more games in Guardiola. The chance to break the record, the club record league, top flight league, it might be all levels to be fair, consecutive wins, a chance to leapfrog the team that you're playing, Manchester City, to go 3rd in the Premier League. So there was so many things riding on this game on the back of probably a disappointing result before the game, but what was actually probably a good result at the end of the Bournemouth game. To do that, and then you're under the lights, Villa Park, you've got Richie's son as mascot for the Premier League, and we're all just hoping that we put in a good performance. It was beyond our wildest dreams. I sound like Taylor Swift, don't I? But it was beyond our wildest dreams, because I think you probably saw the tweet that I put out. But the key bit for me was like, when I said like this is the performance that'll get them talking. This is the performance, because Newcastle was a fantastic win last season. I think that was probably, the first one. Well, Man United, Newcastle. But how many times do we need to keep putting in unbelievable performances before we just realise that this is who we are? This is what we're all about. It's almost the reverse of that. You got someone like they're 54 years old, and you're like, oh, they're all right when you get to know them. Well, you're still going to be saying that when they're 90. Like, at what point is that just who you are? That's your character, that's you as a person. With Villa, we're still worried like Villa back in the day. We're going to let ourselves down. We're going to drop the ball a little bit somewhere. This is just who we are now. And we're now competing with the teams at the top end of the Premier League, and not just competing with them, absolutely dominating them. We absolutely obliterate. I mean, the articles in the press today, no team has ever done that to City. They've lost games, sure, but it might have been a smash and grab, or there's things that happened. If we played like that last night, I think that team could win the Champions League. Like, it's who's going to beat us playing like that? I mean, to have the whole of the experience as well of the near misses with the goals, to get the emotions of thinking that we're not going to win and they're going to come back into it, to get a player that's been vilified like Bailey scoring the goal, and then to hear that final whistle. I think it is. There's been some big nights at Villa Park that I've seen. There's been some great performances. Seeing Liverpool on the telly, that 7-2 win. Seeing the Newcastle game last season, Brighton this season, fantastic recent performances. That is, for me, it's got to be the best performance I've ever seen at Villa Park. And performance is the word. Result, clearly, we got the 3 points, but the performance was out of this world across the team. And, it's all down to Unai, but the players and the combination is just unbelievable.
Yeah, look, I can't say any better than that, mate. Just absolutely phenomenal. And the memories that we will all take from the game are just fantastic. And if we can take that into the rest of the season, I'm sure we will be talking about glory coming back to Villa Park. So let's just hold that thought. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Get involved in with your comments down below. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're so close to 2,800 on the road to 3K. You are the ones that can help us get there, though. So please continue to spread the word of the channel. And thank you so much for your support so far. Kev, thank you for reminiscing with me. Brilliant show. Thank you all for watching. We'll be back later on this week with match preview for Arsenal, opposition preview with a very special guest.
Top of the league, Arsenal.
Top of the league, Arsenal.
Come on.
Yes. Talking tactics with Gareth, instant match reaction. So make sure you keep your eyes on the channel. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa. Thanks, everyone.